Welcome to Horn Takes Live. I am Sean Redfern, and I've got two very special guests with me tonight. I have got the guys from AM 1300, The Zones, the morning kickoff. I got Mike Hardball Hardge, who's been a friend of the show for a while, and we're getting the opportunity, a great opportunity tonight, to have the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, on the show tonight. Guys, thanks for joining us. How y'all doing tonight?
How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I'm good, man. What's happening, brother? I ain't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a whole one day, half a day.
Yeah. Y'all ever get tired of hanging out with each other and talking about sports?
No,
not at
I
all.
didn't think so. I didn't figure you would. I never
it's
get
gonna be an
tired of.
argument at some point.
Yeah, I hear you. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be arguing. Just as long as we don't get physical. Nobody here can take you, Mark. Nobody here can take you.
I'm not messing with Mike. I heard the Washutus are biters.
All right, guys. For those of y'all that don't know, they do the show, the morning kickoff on AM 1300 The Zone every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. It's a good show. I listen to it when I get a chance. I don't all the time get a chance to do it, but they do a good job. You guys should check them out. Lots of talk, guys. Headed up to this Cotton Bowl matchup with the Ohio State Buckeyes. A lot of the talk is Texas doesn't have a chance, which is wild to me. What is you guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, big fella, kick it off.
I'm aggravated because, like, everybody knows that when you play football, you do just what it takes to win the game. It don't matter if you beat them by 20 or you beat them by 1. It's the same. You win. They are acting like Texas never played football. That Texas been playing middle schools or something. Like you have got to give everybody a chance to kick the ball off and see what happens. This whole notion of Ohio State has been on a burner, and Texas is not going to be able to match them. I just think is asinine.
Yeah, I'm with Mark on that. I just find it hard to believe that a team that is 13-2, that has played some stiff competition, finds a way to continue to win and advance, and people still don't want to give them a chance. You start looking at the Final Four teams, and we've talked about this a lot this week. These are blue bloods. These are traditional blue blood programs. Yes, Texas may not have played the prettiest games, and it's not aesthetically pleasing. But the fact of the matter is they still have more points than their opponent at the end of it all. And the fact that people don't believe that they, like Mark said, have a chance in this ball game is kind of ridiculous. And, we're all competitors here, so we totally get this. That provides a little added fuel. You shouldn't need that much fuel because you are playing in a national semifinal game with a chance to play for a national championship. But it does, they try to say they block out the noise, but I'm sure that their moms, their dads, their friends, their cousins, us, they've listened to some of the conversations and they realize that, hey, man, people are looking at us and looking down on us for some reason. We shouldn't even be in this game. And we all know that that's some BS.
Yeah, I think the outside noise is interesting in college football because I think the positive outside noise works against you more often than not. And I think that negative outside noise, like what Texas is feeling right now this week, the last, 8 days leading up to this game so far, I think that's the type of noise that can really motivate a team and get a team to get dialed in. The talent's there, right? We know that. The talent for Texas didn't change between Clemson and Arizona State. It didn't change between Florida and Arkansas. The talent didn't change. It's the focus and the execution that changes from week to week. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes in college football. And so I think this could be one of those things. I mean, I'm starting to get kind of like USC Rose Bowl 2006 vibes out of this game where Texas just, I mean, they might as well not even show up. You got Ohio State fans already buying tickets to the national championship game. You got all the pundits, all the big guys talking about Texas doesn't have a chance. We're going to get blown out. I think it's crazy too. And I do a show every week about a deep dive into the team we're about to play. It's called The Deep Dive. And I start digging into
Yep.
statistics. I start looking at the players. Sometimes I do some film analysis. And these two teams statistically, and we all know statistics don't always tell us the whole story, but these two teams statistically almost identical, just outside of a couple little spots. The defense is both outstanding. The offense is
Yep.
explosive, but they have some problems. Each team kind of has some issues offensively. So I'm just really surprised to see so many people just automatically counting Texas out. I like it though. I mean, you've competed before. You've competed before, Mark. When you get counted out, I think it's just added motivation. And I think this team's going to show up really focused.
You always have that hanging over your head, like what everybody says and what you're doing, keep everything in house and don't put out bulletin board material, like all of that stuff. But that being said, Texas has never played this whole entire season. And it's hard it's impossible to play the perfect game. But Texas has yet to play a game where they throw the ball for 300 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns, that they rush the ball for 150 yards or 100 yards and a touchdown, returned 1 on special teams in either phase, punting or kicking, and played defense where they didn't give the game away because they couldn't stop a nosebleed. They haven't played that full complementary game yet.
Yeah, you're exactly right on that. And that's, I think for Texas fans, that's one of the things that's so frustrating about this team. You look at them, they're so talented. You see it in spurts. I mean, we saw them jump out on Arizona State in like 2 minutes. They scored 14 points, and it looked like they were about to run away with that one. Then everything kind of slows down. We maintain. We get into the fourth quarter. Arizona State's managed to get a safety on us, get a field goal on us. I think maybe another field goal as well. We finally put that 24th point on the board. We're 24-8 with 10 minutes left in the game. And then all of a sudden we wake up and we're in overtime. And we had to have like a pretty magical 4th and 13 play, like a Vince Young 4th and 5 type play to get us in the end zone, to get us to overtime. So I can certainly see, like, if all you're doing is basing your prediction off of emotions, right? I could totally see looking at this Texas team and going, man, they just haven't played well enough in these playoffs to beat this Ohio State team that's playing so well in these playoffs. But you know what I say to that? This isn't baseball. We're not talking about the hottest team. You got to reset and go out there every week and do something completely different. It's not, to me, it's not like getting in the batter's box and seeing that fastball, seeing that curveball. Hard, you know all about that. What do you think about that?
Well, I look at this team, and you're right. You can look at certain areas, and there's so much that Texas can do that they haven't yet, right? Mark mentioned it. If they play a cleaner football game, the one thing that continues to be an Achilles heel for Texas is penalties. Texas has to stop these penalties. And I think that has a lot to do with that imperfect game that they have played. They've had opportunities. I talked about this today. Texas has to figure out a way for that third quarter to be instrumental to their success. Early in the season, they were having a lot of success in the second half. Then they got back into those lulls. And I believe Mark mentioned it early in the week. It's the adjustments, the scripts that you have to be able to adjust coming out of halftime to be able to get better immediately, because you know that they're going into the locker room and they're looking, okay, how quick can we strike to close that gap, or if they're ahead, to widen that gap. Texas has to do the exact same thing, and it's imperative that this week, because, oh my goodness, Ohio State, they are so good that they have to be able to get out there and handle their business all the way through.
Hardge said it this week on Monday. Just 3 weeks ago, everybody was calling for the coach's head. that
Yeah.
Ohio State was not burning the world down. That they were struggling themselves with putting teams away. Having the ability, they played tight games with all this talent. They were still playing tight games, and
I agree 100%.
had to have some fourth quarter heroics from the young wide receiver in order to get over the hump. Well, I'm going to tell you something. He's going to be covered by a Thorpe Award winner and two safeties that want to take his head off. So I think in clutch moments, you'll see that people like Makuba and Mookie are gonna run him down, and let's see what that looks like before we start just handing them the title.
Yeah, it's been really crazy to see, and Hard, you mentioned it. The second half woes. Texas scored 6 points in the third quarter in the last 6 games total. So, I did a TikTok video a couple of years ago. I think it was in Sark's first season, and I was like, "What the hell happens at halftime? Like, what is going on? We've went into halftime with all these leads, and we lost a lot of those games. At least we're winning them now." But I was like, "What is going on?" If I was Steve Sarkisian, we just wouldn't even go into the locker room at halftime. We'd have to figure out something else to do. And I'm saying it again. What is going on at halftime? He's a smart guy. He's got the good players. I think the team just loses focus. And what I hope is that with all this noise going on in the media, that they're going to not lose focus this week. They're going to come in dialed in. They're going to stay dialed in. And maybe we get that full 4 quarters of good football out of this Texas team. I kind of thought it would happen against Arizona State. Obviously, that was not the case.
It started off that way. It started off like they were headed that way, and that would have been great for all of us to see, and we would have enjoyed all of our cocktails and our good eats during that time. But everybody got ulcers after that because they couldn't figure it out, and everybody was, "Oh Lord, have mercy, what's going on over there?" But but yeah, so you start to look at this football team, and I like that, Sean. Not going into the locker room, not going in, just sitting out there listening to the band at halftime.
Yeah, watch Nelly or something at halftime, and I don't know. I really, it's really strange to me because you talk about, everybody talks about Steve Sarkisian and the adjustments he's able to make, and the just the genius of Steve Sarkisian, and I think there's a lot of that there. But for some reason, just has not showed up in the third quarter of a lot of games this year. And I talk a lot about winning the situations, and there's before halftime that you got to win. There's coming out of the locker room right after halftime that you need to win, and then there's the end of the game that you need to win. The final few minutes of the game, you got to win those situations. If you can win the majority of those, you probably win the football game. And this Texas team has struggled a lot with that. I don't know what the answer is, but I hope what we see is a focused team. I hope we see.
That's it. You said it. It's focus. Like, I always talk about Quinn Ewers being a good quarterback, but the one thing that eludes Quinn's at times is the fact that he doesn't get bored. Sometimes those throws to the out, the little zigzags that he throw, the pass in the flats, they have to be the same way every time. And Quinn, sometimes he doesn't put the same emphasis that he puts at times into those throws. He can't allow himself to get bored. The same thing with the offensive line. I know you want to get out and get them, but you cannot false start. Like, you have got to focus. You know what the snap count is. And, we don't get a lot of holdings because guys, they tend to do a good job blocking. It's just the initial, like the false starts. They've just got to stop with the false starts and the lackadaisical passing. And then they're a solid team. They have enough run blockers. That offensive line is well seasoned. Gooseby has come along and show that, yes, he can come in and spell any of the tackles. But, sometimes you just got to say, hey, we're going to make a commitment to running the ball today. And so get ready. Like,
yeah, I think it's a long day for Texas if they don't at least attempt to try to run the football. And what I mean by that, and I say this all the time when I talk about this, I don't think success in the running game doesn't necessarily mean I'm picking up 4, 5, 6 yards a carry. I mean, that would be great. It'd be great to Clemson everybody. It'd be great to Kentucky everybody, but you're not always going to do that. And so I think success in this offense means you do it enough to where the defense doesn't know what's coming. They can't just sit back, rush the passer. We saw it against Georgia the first game. They just completely abandoned the run. And it wasn't working great. They were. I mean, I think the running backs were sitting at 3.8 yards per carry in that first half, which isn't amazing, but it's good enough to do it a little bit every drive. And I think that's really where this offense starts to kind of to go off kilter. We saw it in the Clemson game. They ran the ball extremely well in the first half of that game. And then in the third quarter, they just stopped doing it. It was like, let's go throw the ball. And I don't know what the cause of that is. I don't know if, they have a plan that if we could do X, we're going to do Y in the second half. I don't know. But whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be working and keeping this offense rolling.
So I think figure it out. Won't you tell them?
Man,
I don't think they know either.
Well, I think Steve Sarkisian's big on we're going to execute. We're going to execute whatever we want to execute. You hear him talk all the time. We're going to dictate to the other team. We're not going to get enamored with the other team. We're going to be enamored with ourselves. We're going to execute ourselves. We're going to do what we need to do. And I think that's a great attitude, a general great attitude. But I think sometimes you got to go, man, they're really keying in on this and it's just not working. Let's try something different. Again, I'm not a coach. He gets paid a lot of money. He's way better than I am at being a football coach, obviously. But I think there's also value in an outside perspective. And that's why I talk about football, and that's why I have you guys on today. What's the key to this game for you guys? If you had one key for Texas headed into this matchup with Ohio State, what is that one key?
It's always been the line of scrimmage. Texas has got to be better at the line of scrimmage. And what I mean by that, it's not all about the passing game. It's definitely about the ability to run the football. Texas has to be able to get the ground game going. Yeah, they ran it a little bit, but it wasn't as effective. The better that ground game is, the easier it is to create those passing lanes for Quinn, to Mark's point, not get bored and be able to take some shots down the field and hit some of those home runs. If you can control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side, and then on the defensive side, you got to do the same thing. If Will Howard decides that their blueprint is pretty much the exact same of what Texas's is. If they can run the ball with Travion Henderson and have Will get out of the pocket every once in a while and use his legs to extend drives, then that'll give Texas some problems. But if Texas goes back to that disciplined football, and what I mean by that is gap integrity, being able to stay trust what the coaches are telling you and be disciplined enough to stay in your lanes, Texas will be able to make them one-dimensional, and that bodes well for Texas.
I feel the same way, but I think even more so, Texas is going to have an attitude in the run game. And I would just tell my guy, look, I want to see if you got what it takes. I'm going to challenge them. We're going to run the ball 3 plays in a row to start the game. And there ain't a damn thing they can do to stop us. But it's up to you. You dictate the whole complex of the game. I want the ball. You can have it in the second half. If I'm coaching that team, we're running the ball down their throat. I'm going to bring in an extra tackle. I'm going to bring Gooseby in at tight end. And Helm is going to be just out there for window dressing.
The little
motion. I would show them a big motion package, and I would try to dictate the game. I don't want you to have the ball. I want 13 play drives every time I touch it. And then you force them to not be on the field. You win by subtraction. And I think that Texas, I think they can play that game.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see a little of the old 2001 Colorado Big 12 championship deal where Texas beats the hell out of them in the regular season, and they come into Dallas with a 3 tight end set and just run the ball right down Texas's throat the whole game, inexplicably. That'd be something to see. If that happens, Mark, I might send you a present because I'm a big run game guy, and I really think I get the whole passing the ball all over the place, and I think they've got the tools to do it. But I really do like to see a team that can just line up and run the ball consistently. And again, I'm not talking 95 Nebraska where they're throwing, they're running the ball every single play. I just think you got to be able to do it enough, and you got to show it enough to keep that defensive coordinator guessing on what's next. Because if those guys can just sit back there and rush the passer, it's hard for anybody to protect when you got guys just teeing off over and over again. Welcome back, Hardge.
I was listening to you guys. I mean, y'all were hitting it. You were hitting the nail on the head. I was listening to all of it. I was like, why you take me out, dog? Why you take me out?
I didn't. You disappeared. You disappeared, man.
Mark says all the attention, and I used one of my magical powers to disrupt his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, one of your get out of free jail cards. Yeah. Exactly. Get out of jail free cards.
Yep.
Cool. You guys are going to be up in Dallas tomorrow. I think that's the plan, right? Y'all are headed up in the morning. Y'all are y'all doing a pregame show tomorrow? Y'all doing y'all's pregame show on Friday?
Friday. We're going to be at Boomer Jack's off of Lincoln Square, right around the corner from the stadium, right there in North Arlington. We'll be there from 3:30 to 5:30. We'll have some special guests. We'll be obviously leading you up to the ball game, and then we're going to get over and get to the stadium and check this ball game out, and hopefully we'll be able to have another conversation next week as we preview the national championship game.
That would be outstanding. If we win this game, I will have you guys back for sure. I know you guys got to break out and go to some meetings and things like that, but I sure appreciate y'all's time. Mark, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to have you on. Hardge, great as always to have you on. You guys have a good night. Y'all check us out at Horn Takes on all of the socials and on YouTube as well. You can find these guys. I've been flashing their stuff up on the screen. Find these guys at 1300 AM The Zone and check out the morning kickoff, right?
The morning kickoff. You know I was about to laugh at you, Mark. I was about to laugh at you. Listen to this.
The same thing yesterday.
We were doing a promo cut, and he couldn't say AM 1300 The Zone, and he was all over the place.
Yeah, I should just stop saying it because I don't know what it is. I can't make a lot of words at the same time, especially when they're in reverse order like that. That ain't right. Come on now. It's 1300 AM, not 8 AM 1300. Yeah. But anyway, you guys check them out there every morning, 7 to 9 AM on AM 1300 The Zone.
There you go. I got you, Sean. I see you. Thank you.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all be safe traveling up to Dallas, and I will catch up with y'all after the game. Thanks.
All right, man. Appreciate you.